Are you a sales manager, a VP of sales, or perhaps someone in a leadership role who has been tasked with the responsibilities of increasing the KPIs and performance of your sales staff? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about the 11 coaching statistics that VPs and sales managers need to know in order to achieve those numbers. My name is Desmond, and for the last few years, starting from 2017 onwards, I was involved with being the co-host and co-instructor with a mentor by the name of Dan Locke, who has specialized and has been known as the king of high ticket sales. I was his co-instructor in his leading program called the High Ticket Closer program. And during those years, I have coached and trained over 8,000 students along with Dan Locke. During that time, we showed these individuals, people that had never had any sales experience, on how to develop their high income skills of closing. We took single moms, we took college students, we worked with individuals who had been professionals in the sales industry or even corporate world, and we showed them how to be better at sales and closing. But in this video, I want to focus on the statistics as a sales manager. Why is it so important? Because not every salesperson is destined to be a sales manager. A sales manager has to be a slightly different breed of individual. You have to focus on the performance of the team. That is going to be one of your key mandates, achieving those KPIs. So what are some of the common pains that we find out as a sales manager? And that is not knowing exactly how to motivate, how to work with your team. What numbers, how do you do reviews? What do you focus on? So for today, I just want to share with you some of the statistics that we have discovered. So on average, 84% of sales training, all the content that we've trained our sales staff to learn, is forgotten or not actually implemented within the first 90 days. That is why number one rule is so important for you as a sales manager or a VP of sales to focus on helping your new staff or even existing staff to keep retraining, having a system and a process of having reviews, coaching them, and helping to reinforce the best practices, the culture of your company, as well as also perhaps scripts or perhaps even things that you need your sales team to remember to be doing. Now, what do we mean by regular sales training? I'm not talking about just doing once a week or twice a week, one-on-one or group session with your staff, especially after the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. Now more so, as a sales manager, you might be working with remote sales team members. Do you have a process in place to actually coach them on a regular basis and knowing what statistics to be looking for? If not, pay attention all the way to the end of the video. I will cover those 11 points. Statistic number one, 74% of leading companies, I'm talking about the Fortune 500 companies, they have cited that the number one responsibility for a sales manager or VP of sales is to focus on sales coaching and sales mentoring. Statistic number two, did you know that the average sales manager spends less than 20% of their time in effective sales coaching or sales mentoring? Now, knowing that statistic, what are you going to do to improve that? If you take a look at your calendar, your schedule, and you assess yourself, if you are putting less than 20% of your time into focusing on your team members, then a simple actionable item that you can do is to increase that. Don't be part of the average 20%. If you're even at 30% or even at 40% of your schedule, we all know how busy you are. If you had 30% or 40% of your time blocked out for your team members, you will see a gradual and organic growth of your sales team simply because you are above the average. Statistic number three, did you know that effective sales coaching and mentoring can have a dramatic effect on the bottom line and the sales results that you and your sales team are able to produce? In fact, it has been proven that with effective sales coaching and training, companies have seen as much as a 25% increase in revenues, in sales, and in performance. Statistic number four, it has been proven that there's no other activity that a sales manager like yourself or a VP of sales can focus on that will produce a better result than sales coaching and sales mentoring. Statistic number five, did you know that 31% of sales leaders, sales managers, spend less than 30 minutes of their time with each of their reps? So once again, just like the previous statistics, if you want to turn this into an actionable item, one of my suggestions for you would be to actually look at your calendar, block out some time, And if you've got a team of more than, let's say, 10 individuals that you're working with, that's already getting more than you can handle. You should actually have sub-leaders in there so that way you can block out your time. You should be only focusing with about 7 to 10 individuals over a given week period. And if you can block out and spend more than 30 minutes with these individuals, you are going to see a better yield. You're going to see better performance. It may not happen immediately, but it may take usually a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day time frame, which I'll talk about in another video about how to coach and help successful training within a 90-day period. But you will see the effects within a 90-day period. Statistic number 6. Do you know that leading publications like Business Insider have done research and studies that proved and showed that companies with informal sales and coaching processes generally only yield about an 84.2% of reaching their quotas versus companies that actually have a formal coaching and mentoring sales process actually attain a 91.2% of attaining their quotas. What's the moral of the story there? By having a formal process of coaching and mentoring, your company will actually attain a higher quota attainment. Statistic number 7. Companies in which the sales leaders spent less than 30 minutes with their sales reps generally had an average of 43% win rate. However, companies that had leaders, managers, VPs of sales that invested more than 2 hours of training, mentoring, and formal coaching with their sales reps actually had a 56% close rate. What does that mean? Between 43 to 56. Can you imagine if your company was actually closing at that much higher of a close rate? Is the extra hour and a half worth it? I think so. Type in the comments below. Let me know if these statistics have been helpful for you as a sales manager. Statistic number 8. Now, as a sales manager or a VP of sales, it's actually very important for you to focus on the coaching and training rather than doing the selling yourself. Did you know the average win rate for forecast deals is 8.2% higher, and the overall revenue attainment is 5.2% higher for sales managers that focus on the coaching and the mentoring rather than doing the selling themselves? Statistic number 9. Do you know that if you only made a 5% shift in productivity to your core group, that's your 60% within your organization, we're not talking your top tier here. If you focus on your 60%, the team members, which are kind of just average, if you just got them to increase by 5%, it would actually yield a 70% increase in revenue. So as a sales manager or as a sales leader, where you want to put your time and focus is on the sales coaching and mentoring of that core group. Now, what am I talking about? Let me introduce a book here. This is from the series Top Grading by Bradford Smart and Greg Alexander. This is a phenomenal book. Now, this is just the second book in it. It's actually a very thick book called Top Grading, which talks about top grading for the entire company. But for sales managers and sales leaders, all you need is this very simple, skinny book here. Now, in top grading, the general concept of top grading is about having a top tier of individuals, which is your top 20%. Then you have a 60% core, and then you have a lower 20%. Those lower 20% are probably people that you do want to move off. They're not suited for your team, and you shouldn't really be spending as much of your time with them. However, that core, that 60%, that's what we're talking about in statistic number 9 here. If you invest the time to work with that core group, and you can even just get a 5% increase in their productivity, you should see a 70% increase in revenue because that core group makes up a big chunk of your organization. Putting your time there is actually being really smart. Statistic number 10. By having a formal or a dynamic sales coaching process, you'll see an increase of your sales reps actually achieving their quotas by 10% just by simply having a formal and structured coaching process. What do I mean? Maybe right now you're working with sales reps, but you don't have a formal process. You're not meeting with them at scheduled times. They don't know what to expect. It's more reactionary rather than a structured process. By having a formal process, letting them know when are the reviews, what are deal reviews, when are you going to review their pipeline, and coaching them through their process, you will actually see them hitting and attaining their quotas by 10%. Statistic number 11. Now, this tags on and stacks on top of statistic number 10, and that is 75% of sales organizations out there, companies and organizations, waste time and resources on informal processes. This can be very costly to the company from a time perspective, from an hourly perspective, from a human resources perspective. Simply by having a formal sales coaching process, you stand the odds of beating out 75% of the competition that's out there. So, in summary, what can you take from this video here? There are several books I'm gonna recommend for you as a sales manager. I'm not gonna do the reviews of them. Top Grading for Sales is one of them. The Sales Acceleration Formula by Mark Roberge. He actually was the CRO at HubSpot, and he actually helped to grow HubSpot to about a $100 million company. Lots of great processes in here. Sales Management Simplified is another phenomenal book. I highly recommend it. And then we've got Sales Manager Survival Guide. In fact, in Sales Manager Survival Guide, I would actually jump over to part 3. That is on page, I believe, 98, 96. And if you go from page 96 all the way to about page 133, this book alone, you don't have to go through the entire book, just that section will give you a great way of how to conduct reviews and have a formalized structure that will help you to be a little bit more precise, help your team members to hit their quotas, and last but not least, coaching salespeople into sales champions. Any one of these books, I will post the links in the description below. Feel free to grab those books. As one of my mentors, Dan Locke, said, you don't read books, you have to use the books. So I'm not asking you to get all these books and read them from cover to cover. My tip, which I've made other videos before, you can click the I button here on other book reviews I've done. The tip is this: get the books, find 1 to 3 things that you can actually implement in the books to produce a result, something that's measurable. As a sales manager or as a VP of sales, it is now your task, your responsibility, your job to track the numbers. So don't just read a book, grab something from the book, implement it, measure the results, comment below, let us in the comments if this was helpful for you. Are there other videos that you would like me to make and help in the process and I should share or download knowledge? Do let us know in the comments below. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications, and I'll see you in the next video.